Yo, what is going on, guys? Crypto Vibes here, also known as Crypto. Bringing you guys another video, and today I'm back with week 8 of the Remnants as we go up against Hammer Time Stone and his Holland Flareons. So if you guys are hyped for this match, make sure to leave a like down below. I really would appreciate it, as yeah, we're getting towards the end of the season, guys, and I don't believe necessarily we are locked for playoffs. If we win this match, I think there's a very strong chance we will be, because if we can win, we'll be up to 7-1. But if we lose, we're 6-2, and we're definitely not locked at 6-2. But 7-1 would maybe lock it for us. I'm not sure, but considering there's 10 weeks, and after this match we have 2 more games, so yeah, definitely important to try really hard in these last few games to try to get playoffs and hopefully get a good spot, if not top. So that's the goal here, and yeah, I guess go ahead and get into Hammer's team. He's I believe Hammer for the season so far, he's 4 and yeah, I think he's 4-3, and we're 6-1. He's 4-3 right now, but Hammer's taking out some good players, so he's definitely a solid opponent to go up against. And yeah, get into his team. He's got the Z Tapu Koko, Milotic, Delmise, Heracross, Gigalith, Masquerain, Z Victini, Z Excadrill, Noivern, Regice, and Mega Pidgeot. So you can see he's got a little bit of a sand core right there, which is pretty scary indeed. He's got the Victini, which, oh my gosh, the Victini, absolutely, I have very little for the Victini, considering its coverage can run. I'm not really worried. He could definitely be Scarf, but I feel like if he's Scarf, that could help me out a little bit, just because I have a couple pivots to play around that. But if he's like a Life Orb set or something, that could be very dangerous for my defense this game. So I'm kind of approaching this game with an offensive approach, just because Victini kind of blows away my team for the most part, and I don't want to lose that thing, so that's something I got to be very careful about. His sand core with Excadrill and Gigalith is a little bit scary, considering Excadrill can get Z moves. Being something like my Tapu Fini or Shaman that wants to potentially defensively check it, and more than likely Shaman, of course, but if he has the Z Crystal, if he gets the Swords Dance up, like a +2 Z Poison Jab or a +2 Z X Scissor can just blow Shaman back, so that's nothing I want to play around with. So I am wary of SD Excadrill. That's something I'm scared of. He's got the Tapu Koko with the Z Crystal. I'm not really expecting Z on that this week, but Tapu Koko nonetheless could be a big threat, so I gotta be careful for it. But yeah, some of his mons are pretty scary. And then defensively on his team, well, a couple things, that like the Regice is actually kind of scary, because it can take hits from my special attackers, and it can actually just dish out big hits with the coverage it has, which is pretty scary. Mega Pidgeot I don't so much see coming this game, just because I have things like my Mega Manectric, which naturally outspeeds it and pressures it a lot, and as well as I have a few defensive checks like Steelix and potential Choice Scarfers, or potentially like a Lowell Muck too, that can really just check Mega Pidgeot really nicely, and I don't really see that coming. So yeah, things I really expect a lot is the Sand Core, Victini, Milotic, because I've seen every game this season so far he's used Victini and Milotic, so I kind of expect him to bring both those, even though I don't think Milotic has the greatest matchup against me. I do have double ground, so he might do that. He might bring Milotic, so I'm expecting the Gigalith, Excadrill, Milotic, Victini, and then last 2 spots are kind of up for debate. I have a really strong feeling that the Regice might come, and then Tapu Koko probably. But yeah, that's kind of what my feeling is for this, and then I'll just go ahead and get into my team. As if you guys can see my team in the top right over there. Starting off the team, we have our Mega Manectric. Just in case he does want to bring the Mega Pidgeot, I have my Mega Manectric right here, which offensively checks out very nicely. Mega Manectric's coverage this game with Electric and Fire is just really good overall. His Gigalith is a very good switch into this. I do have Toxic, and plus I can just Volt Switch off on that, which is very nice. As well as a Regice could be a potential switch into this, so I think Toxic is very important there, because Overheat to especially defensive Regice does not actually do that much, especially after a special attack drop. So those are 2 mons that can definitely switch into Mega Manectric, and yeah, that's why I throw Toxic on there. I debated for a while having Rain Dance on this Mega Manectric set, just in case it was late game scenario and Gigalith was up against Mega Manectric and he was trying to win with Excadrill on the back, but that does weaken my Overheat damage, so it's not something I really wanted to go with, even though I figured it could have been kind of cool, but it is what it is. And Thunderbolt just for general stab for things like Milotic if it does want to come. Overheat's actually very nice as you can see, as it hits the Excadrill, Delmise, Heracross, Masquerain, Regice all super effectively, so that's very good there. And then Toxic for the things that could be potentially switch-ins, which I expect Gigalith to be the main switch into this, but yeah. That's for Mega Manectric. We're running enough speed for the Max Speed Tapu Koko, and then rest in special attack, and then a little bit in defense. I believe that's for Potentially trying to take a hit from Gigalith, Earthquake, if I need a Toxicate or something. What was it? What is it? It helps me take hits from Delmice too if I need to stand and overheat that. I figured the defense was just a little bit better than like HP or something here. Anyways, getting into my next model, we are bringing Choice Scarf Diggersby this week. Choice Scarf Diggersby has a really good chance of cleaning this week, depending on what he brings and how I can weaken his team, of course. But we have Earthquake, U-turn, Return, and Knockoff here. Enough speed, Choice Scarf to outspeed Tapu Koko. I did a lot of speed creeping around Tapu Koko because I can't really creep a Sand Core with the majority of my team, just because, or Excadrill, I can't really creep that just because, you know, it gets ×2 in the sand. I have one wave, but I'll get into that in a little bit. Anyways, our Choice Scarf Diggersby is very good because if you look at his team, Earthquake late game looks very good for things like Excadrill out of sand, I guess. I mean, I can't take one hit from Excadrill anyways in sand if it is not a Z move. So that's something to keep in mind. I can hit the Gigalith very hard. I can hit the Tapu Koko extremely hard. I can hit the Victini extremely hard, which I want to have a way to check Victini if it's not Choice Scarf offensively, which is Diggersby basically. And as well as Return just hits things very hard as well. It hits Milotic a little bit harder than Earthquake would. It hits the Heracross harder. It hits the things like Mega Pidgeot and Noivern and stuff, so that's very good there. After Rocks, I believe Return actually just knocks out Mega Pidgeot and Noivern, which is really good. And yeah, and then Knockoff is there for the Delmice. If the Delmice does come, I expect it to be Culver Berry just so he can have a nice response to Diggersby. So that's kind of what I'm expecting there. So yeah, Diggersby is just really good late game cleaning potential, and then we have U-turn spam there in case we want to predict switches and whatnot. So yeah, getting to our next model, we have Peacemaker, the Shaman. Bringing leftovers with Seed Flare, Leech Seed, Toxic, and Protect. I had HP Ice on this setup for originally just for things like the Noivern and Mega Pidgeot. It was nice in case they wanted to switch on this, but ultimately I figured Leech Seed plus Protect was a little bit better, even with Toxic and stuff, because my Shaman's health is very important in this game with his Sand Core around. Things like the Excadrill and Gigalith, if I can bait out his Excadrill Z move, or if he doesn't have a Z move on Excadrill, then Shaman can do a very nice job at checking that, as well as the Gigalith. So I wanted to make sure I could do as best as I could to check those with this mod. And since this in the sand, as you guys know, is only 25%, so it's not exactly the greatest. It might be 33%. I think it might actually be 33%, but that's still not that great. So Leech Seed plus Protect's very nice. And also, if he wants to make an offensive switch into something like Victini on my potential Leech Seed or not Leech Seed, but Seed Flare, then he can do that. But I have Protect to potentially scout out for a Choice Scarf set. So if he clicks like U-turn on my Shaman or like a Bolt Strike, predicting something, then I will pretty much know he's Choice Scarf at that point, more than likely. And I should be able to probably just stay in or switch appropriately into what I need to switch into. And we're just max defense, as you can see on the set with 8 and special attack, just to take the Excadrill and Gigalith on a lot better. So that's the idea behind this. And Toxic's actually very good for things like the Delmice, so we don't get completely checked by that. And as well as it just hits things like Victini or Tapu Koko or something on an offensive switch like Mega Pidgeot potentially, so very solid there. And yeah, I figured Sheen was very good for this game. It's one of my only really good defensive answers to the majority of his team, outside of like Victini and Mega Pidgeot. But yeah, getting into my next mod, this is I was excited to bring this set, but very optimistic about it. With our Mew right here, we have Grounding Z Mew with Earthquake, Swords Dance, Rock Polish, and Ice Punch. So we're bringing Double Dance Mew right here, which is really cool. Really cool this week because we're running enough speed after Rock Polish to outspeed Jolly Excadrill in the sand, which is really my only way of offensively beating that. And like I said, I wanted to approach this game offensively rather than defensively, just because I felt like I had a better matchup to do that. I felt like I had a better matchup to play offensively than defensively in this game, just based off of team alone. And Earthquake plus Ice Punch actually just hits everything on this team I expect. Like a ton. And then Groundium Z is very good because it makes sure I can OHKO things like Gigalith after +2, barring Shukaberry, and things like Regice, which potentially could be a problem. And like I said, I've run enough speed for the Excadrill. And then the HP investments there, just in case I need to set up on things like Milotic, barring it has Haze, hopefully no Scald Burns, and then things like the Gigalith could be things I want to set up on, so that's something I want to watch out or be careful about. So I just threw the rest into HP, as I could set up on a special or a physical mon, so it's kind of just my idea there. As this mon is a pretty good win con if I can use it appropriately, but then again, I am a little scared about this set just because it's a weird set, but maybe I could get the job done. Anyways, getting into my next mon, we're bringing Steelix back once again. I believe this is Steelix's like 4th or 5th game in a row, so Steelix definitely put in the work, and we're bringing Akaberry this week with Stealth Rock, Earthquake, Toxic, and Stone Edge. Stealth Rock is very, very important in this game, and since we're bringing an offensive mute this time around, I did not want to throw Stealth Rocks on it. And we are going to Stealth Rock Steelix. Just because he has things like Victini, which I said is a major, major problem to my team, and Akaberry is there for that. We have things like the Mega Pidgeot and Noivern, which I want to put in range of Scarf Diggersby 100%, which is very, very important. And then things like Toxic is really just nice to catch things like Milotic before potential Flame Orb, and things like Gigalith, because Earthquake doesn't really do... I think Earthquake actually does close to half, so that's nice, but Toxic's just good to catch things on switches. And then Stone Edge also hits things like Mega Pidgeot and Noivern for a lot of damage, so I figured it was just necessary to add on there because I didn't really have too much for those mons necessarily. But and then we're like a mixed defense nature. I don't really remember exactly what the EVs were for on Steelix, but I know this is one of my better responses to Victini, at least taking a hit from it, so that's something important. If he has special Victini, I can still take a hit with Akaberry, so that's very nice. And yeah, Careful Nature, I believe, allows me to take a... What is it? What is that? I think Careful Nature with... Oh yeah, Careful Nature with this special defense should allow me to take a Choice Specs Blue Flare with the Akaberry intact, just in case he is that, so that can be pretty scary, but say I'm coming after Rock, so my Sturdy's not intact, I can take a Blue Flare from a Specs Victini, I believe is what that's for. So that's very important, so I can at least get Rocks up or Earthquake, and I can scout and see the damage, so... yeah, that's the Steelix set, and I figured, like I said, Rocks were very important in this game, and Steelix is the man for that. So, yeah, getting into my last mon, we are bringing Tapu Fini this week with the leftovers. Nature's Madness, Taunt, Hydro Pump, and Knockoff. So, Nature's Madness, Taunt, bringing that back once again, as it has a pretty good time against things like the Gigalith and Milotic, just wearing those mons down, especially the Milotic. Milotic really can't do much to me. Like, Milotic really can't do anything to Tapu Fini, if I'm thinking off the top of my head, unless it's like a... yeah, I can't even think of anything it really does to me. That would pressure me too much, but I'll bring in Nature's Madness, Taunt, Hydro Pump. Knockoff, like I said, Knockoff is there for things like these Delmites, so I can catch that. Potentially on a spin or on a double-ended Delmites or something. Like I said, Taunt, Nature's Madness is very self-explanatory, wear things down and prevent them from recovering, and setting up rocks like Gigalith and such. And then Hydro Pump does hit things like the Gigalith and Excadrill extremely hard, so it's pretty necessary there. And so I felt like this was a very good mon this week, as, yeah, that's pretty much the team, guys. I guess I'll just go ahead and get into the match, and I'll be right back. Oh, sorry about that. Alright, we're back in the game, and as you guys can see, Hammer did elect to bring the Excadrill, Gigalith, Regice, Milotic, Noivern, and Victini, so no Tapu Koko, which isn't too surprising, but it is a little bit of a sigh of relief, just because Tapu Koko is a very, very good mon, and pretty much everything I expected. I believe there was one mon maybe I predicted wrong, but Victini is there, and that's one mon that's going to be terrifying to deal with for my team, so I do need to play around that appropriately. But anyways, leading off in the matchup, I believe I led off straight away with my... What did I lead with? What did I lead with? Oh, I can't even remember what I led with, guys. Alright, we're just going to get into it. Oh, yeah. I led with my Steelix, basically. I had a good feeling we'd lead the Victini, so... this gives me a very good spot to just put up my rocks immediately, because he does have the Noivern, which I want to put in range of Scarf Diggersby in case I need to. And just getting rocks up immediately is nice for the Victini in case it wants to just straight up U-turn right away or pivot out. But right away, as you can see, he goes straight for the Blue Flare, and with my variant and my Akaberry intact, I can take that. That is not specs, that is Scarfed. Scarf damage if he is Scarfed, of course, which I have a strong feeling he is at this point. Just because Scarf Victini has a decent matchup against me as well. It can beat things like Scarf Diggersby, does not let Scarf Diggersby offensively beat it. Helps against Mega Manectric, which outspeeds his entire team outside of Sandcore. So yeah, Scarf Victini makes sense, as he actually burns me right there with a Blue Flare. Not too big of a deal, because Steelix only outspeeds the Gigalith, and I guess if I needed to get an Earthquake off on that, it would suck a little bit that I got burnt. But yeah, that was... It is what it is. It happens. But anyways, we're able to get our rocks up right there. And right here, I have a very strong feeling he is Scarfed. I do want to save my Steelix and keep it around just in case the Excadrill has a spin variant. I want to be able to get my rocks up later on, potentially Gigalith or something like that. So I'm just going to switch out right here, as he actually pulls a double into his Milotic, as I go into my Tapu Fini thinking he's Scarfed in the Blue Flare. So that is what I thought. And he goes into Milotic right here, which is actually completely fine with me. This is a free Nature's Madness if I've ever seen one, as I am going to bring him down right there. And he actually just goes for the Scald, pretty much showing me that he has nothing for my Fini and he just wants to wear me down. Right here, I don't want to let him recover up, so I am just going to go straight for the Taunt. Like I said, this set is very, very good for things like just stally, slowy mons. So it's going to force him to switch out right here. I go for the Nature's Madness. I had a very, very strong feeling he'd go into Regice right here, but I don't really have a great switch into Regice immediately. Like, Mew is offensive. I could have went Mew, but I don't know this thing's set yet. Mega Manectric to overheat potentially. Could have been a double I make, but I felt like the safest play was to just Nature's Madness. I would get for sure damage off on something. In case he stayed in with Milotic for some reason too, I could just Nature's Madness again. So he goes into Regice right here, and I believe I debate this play for a while. And yeah, I figured he would just go straight for the Thunderbolt right here. I guess it is a little bit sketchy on his part, considering I double ground plus my Mega Manectric, which is not Mega'd yet, and it does have the Lightning Rod. So I guess that would be kind of a weird play if we went straight for the Thunderbolt, but I am going to predict that anyways and go with my Mega Manectric, try to get some offensive momentum as he goes right for the Ice Beam, and that does a ton of damage. That did 61%. I knew I could take a Life Orb hit. If he was Specs, I believe that actually just knocked me out, so that could have been really bad. But he has leftovers right here, and that does a solid amount. So he is in range of overheat right here, unless he's just straight up max HP, max special defense, I believe. So I do believe I clicked Volt Switch right here, predicting the Gigalith, as he actually just stays in and goes for the Protect. You're going to see. Yeah, he goes for the Protect right here, gets a little bit of leftovers back, so I believe he's actually out of range of an overheat now, unless he's like max special defense, max HP like I was talking about. So I'm just going to Volt Switch again, knowing I can't really do much, and go into my Steelix to basically sack it off at this point, because I don't really have a safe switch into this thing. Like, I could have went back into Feeny, I guess, but like I didn't really want my Feeny getting weakened for the Victini, in case Victini is locked in a Blue Flare. And Feeny still can be pretty important for the Sand Core, even though I do have Shaman around. But I just felt like keeping Feeny was healthy was a good idea. But anyways, this is where the game gets interesting. I go right into my Mew, and as you guys know, my Mew is Double Dance with Ice Punch and Earthquake. If you look at his team, like if I get a Rock Polish up and somehow an SD, then Mew's looking in a very, very good spot at this point. Like, this thing is weakened to the point where Mew can just deal with it. The Noivern is going to come in on rocks. As you're going to see, he actually was hard into Noivern, as I am going to set up a SD. Now, this turn was very important too. Let me rewind and go back and do it. His Noivern has the ability Frisk. You're going to see it right here. Frisk. So he can Frisk my Groundium Z, which is very, very important knowledge that I should know that. He knows I have the Groundium at this point. And I set up the SD on that turn. The turn he switched into Noivern. I had a strong feeling he would try to scout for my Mew set, knowing that Regice was still pretty important to check my Mega Manectric. It was still very good against my Shaman and such, so I figured he would keep it around. So yeah, I went into Mew and set up my SD, and now he goes for the Boom Burst right here, and I know I can take any attack from it, and I'm looking to have his priority options on his team. He has very, very little priority. The only thing that can really do damage to me outside after taking this Boom Burst is the Sand from the Gigalith, unless I'm forgetting some kind of priority on his team, maybe like a quick attack user, but I don't think it's very likely. He goes for the Boom Burst right here. He is a Life Orb set, and that only does 51%, which isn't that much. We get a Rock Polish up right here, and we are looking very, very solid at this point. He knows I am Groundium. That is very important to keep in mind. So I am actually just going to go for the Ice Punch and knock him out right here. He doesn't. If he was Yachi right there, I believe we still knocked him out. But right here, he makes a very, very likely play that I expected. Looking at the calcs, I know everything dies to my attacks, barring the Gigalith. The Gigalith needs to die to the Groundium Z. The only way it dies is Groundium Z on my Mew. So with me knowing that, I think he should know that too. He's a good player. He should definitely know that, and I expect him to sack off his Regice right here just because it is weakened. And if I go for the Groundium Z right here, Gigalith can come back in and take an attack. And if he has Explosion or like Heavy Slam or something, Explosion would kill me. If he has Heavy Slam or Stone Edge, that would put me in range of like the next turn of Sand. So that could essentially get rid of my Mew. So I'm actually going to make a really, really aggressive play right here, predicting his double out on my Groundium and go for the SD, as he does switch out and go into the Regice right here as we get up the next SD, and that is essentially a good game, unless he has some kind of priority option that I don't know about, because Mew outspeeds his Excadrill unless he's Choice Scarf Excadrill with the Sand, which would be a very, very cool bring, but spoilers, he is not, and he tries to protect on me a little bit right there with a Sand up, which is a smart play. I guess he could have like pivoted out into his Regice over and over and tried to protect on my turns. I was just going to attack again to make the Sand wear me down, but ultimately my Mew wasn't going to be able to beat that every time. And he goes into Victini right here, dying off, and yeah, like that's pretty much the game at this point, I believe. As Milotic will die to the next Earthquake, and then these next two mons will die. But yeah, offensive Mew put in the work. I believe our Mew was like 2-2 until this game, and now it's like 8-2. So picked up 6 kills here, which was pretty sick. Mew's an awesome mon, man. Definitely wouldn't try dropping it again if possible. But yeah, anyways, guys, we played this match a little bit early. Like I believe, yeah, we played this week 8 a little bit early, and some of the week 7 matchups are still getting finished up. So Yeah, that improves our record to 7-1. I believe we're plus 25 now, which is really solid. We're doing good. And next week we are going up against Omega Jolteon, so that's gonna be a very, very good game. He's also having a very good season too. I believe if he wins his next matchup, he will go to 7-1. So that'll be an incredibly important game, if as far as getting like up the first seed and whatnot, which could be very important for potential promotion and such. So that's gonna be a game I want to prep for very importantly and very good. So yeah, that's pretty much it for me, guys. If you guys did enjoy this video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe if new. I really would appreciate it. And be sure to leave comments down below too, asking what's up and stuff like that. But anyways, that's it for me, guys. Peace.